Good afternoon, and welcome to week 11 of developmental psychology. I am your host, Patrick Smith. Anyway, sorry, I felt the need to be silly. In any case, isn't it great to be an adult? This week we are headed into the wonderful world of adulthood. We have left adolescence now. Pay particular attention in your reading and your assignments to the transition between adolescence and adulthood. We have already talked about the transition between childhood and adolescence, that being puberty, but the transition to adulthood is somewhat a little bit more nebulous and is more of a subjective question. What is it that makes a person feel as though he or she has become an adult? For many people, they answer that question as being some kind of responsibility, financial responsibility, or getting a certain job, or securing the career or something like that. Some people look at it more on a personal level, as far as long-term relationships, that transition between the open dating of adolescence to a point where a person is taking responsibility for his or her own actions, and maybe even taking responsibility for another human being in a long-term relationship. So there is that. um, Last week we had a discussion question, where I asked about high risk behavior in teens and adolescents, and what we could, as adults and parents, do to help teenagers to navigate those years without engaging in, well, I don't know, I think maybe all of us engage in some high risk behavior, but really it's a cognitive question and a social question. Well, what is it that can help us as teenagers, or help teenagers to make better decisions? How is it that parents can really influence that? And so we want young people not necessarily to always do the right thing. Well, we want them to do the right thing, but we know that that's not always going to happen. Well, we want to also encourage young people to think ahead, and to think of the consequences that might happen. And so I asked you that question, and very, very great answers, very important and very interesting discussion on this. I'm looking at Sarah's answer, but really focusing on the importance of the adults acting as role models. Um, I don't know if telling somebody the right things to do and the wrong things to do, the wrong things not to do, would really always cause them to make the right decisions. And so this is where it comes down to that question of people. We tend to look for people to follow. We look for people to model, people we can see the consequences of their actions, people we can understand their intent, and so that's important. Mackenzie, you made mention of this role modeling being your peers as well. We also want to focus on the importance of the parents really knowing what's going on in the lives of the adolescents. And so I think the little video was talking about parenting monitor, the importance of parents monitoring. Actually, it was in videos, websites. So we want to see how parents can act as not only the role models, but also sort of knowing what's going on and being there, which is a point, Jordan, you made really well. It's important for the adults to listen. That's not monitoring and listening like I'm telling you what to do, as much as is monitoring, listening to saying, look, I hear I hear how you feel, and I hear where you're coming from. And what do you think? How do you think that what do you think of the consequences, and all that? Um, which leads us to understanding that idea of the adolescents becoming autonomous. And I know with my own son that was really important for him to understand that, yeah, I'm not helping you, like I'm giving you the way to live, because I don't know what you're going to have to face. Um, I'm not going with you every day of your life to tell you what to do. So I want you to get to that point where you can stand up and say, this is what I choose to do, and this is why, and this is what I anticipate happening. And so that is why I make this choice. So Angel, you make a fantastic point about giving young people freedom and autonomy to make their own decisions, not just for the sake of freedom and autonomy, but because this is how we become adults. Because as adults, we are going to have to step up and say, I anticipated that consequence, and I now am ready to take responsibility for my own actions. So if it's the wrong thing, to say I'm sorry, to make it right and move on. And if it's the right thing, to say thank you and move on too. So I hope you all have a great week, and thank you again for being in my class. As we're rolling into the last month, I am really looking forward to each and every week with you as our time gets shorter and shorter. So take care of yourselves and have a great adulthood.